Good evening. It is Monday evening, May the 4th, and this is this week's Facebook Live update. Things have changed somewhat in the last week. Some positive, still some negatives, but there's some positives. We want to continue to encourage everyone to please do business with our restaurants. There's some more restaurants that have opened. They're still only drive-through only or curb service. So please continue to do business with our local restaurants. But the biggest change is now the other retail is now open. So there's lots of small businesses that have been forced to close over the last month that are now reopened. And we highly encourage you, please do business with these small retailers. They're behind the eight ball financially, and they're going to be playing catch up for a long time. So we please encourage you, go by and spend some money at these smaller retailers that have been closed for the last 4+ weeks. Another thing is this coming Sunday, May the 10th, for those of you that have forgot, it's Mother's Day. And we certainly encourage you to practice safe visiting if you do visit your mothers, and wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. But Western Sizzlin is going to do something even more special. They're going to have a free meal for mom. It's going to start at 11 o'clock this Sunday at Western Sizzlin. So go by there and get a free meal for mom. Wish your mothers a happy Mother's Day. For those of you that still have your moms, I wish I could wish my mom a happy Mother's Day. Couple other things as far as updates. Our Small Business Relief Fund applications, we had to close them down on Friday, this past Friday. 59 applications. And I'm sure there's other businesses out there that did not apply. Hopefully we'll be able to open that application process up again as more dollars come in. But 59 applications. We've had a little over $48,000 donated. We hope to get more donors, and we'll open up the application process again. But 59, that is just unbelievable. That's 59 small businesses in Jackson County we know are hurting and hurting bad. The committee is starting the process. They're having a conference call tomorrow, and they'll take these 59 applications and start going through them and rating them and finding out how much money we will be able to give. And so that process is starting, and hopefully within the next week or so we'll be able to start writing some checks. But 59 applications is just overwhelming, and then there are others. Again, we hope to have a phase 2 when more donors come in. A couple of statistics that I've run across in the last week or so that are bad. In the state of Alabama, the total unemployment claims since March 1st, 346,044. That's just unbelievable. The total in the workforce in Alabama in February was 2,075,000. So 16.7% of the workforce that has filed for unemployment loans since March 1st. The state of Alabama is 18th highest nationally. So those are some sobering numbers, and we certainly hope to see those numbers start going down as we start reopening the economy. Did a conference call with the U.S. Chamber last Friday, and there were some real takeaways from that, and these are some things that small businesses need to continue to do. They recommended that businesses should still apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP loans, because Congress may decide to replenish it when it runs out again. There is money set aside for smaller lenders, so smaller businesses should check with their local banks or credit unions to see if they are offering PPP loans. The rules of PPP loans dictate that 75% of these loans must be used for payroll. While it's possible Congress could eventually change the loan forgiveness rules, small businesses should assume that they will stay the same and follow the current rules to ensure loan forgiveness. Another one was small businesses should consider taking the employee retention tax credit, which is a $5,000 tax credit per employee for businesses who have been shut down or experienced a 50% drop in gross receipts. And that, believe me, there's a lot of businesses that are hit more than 50%. Then the last takeaway from that was that businesses looking for loans of more than $500,000 should consider the Main Street lending program available from local banks. So that's kind of the takeaways from the conference call last Friday with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, we're still suffering from this pandemic, and we certainly want everyone to continue to stay safe, especially since more retailers have opened up, more businesses are opened up, and you're going to be seeing and running into more people. So please take those precautions and continue to social distance. Wear a mask if you feel comfortable doing that. But go by all of the recommendations from the Alabama Health Department. Now let's talk about something that's totally off the pandemic for the first time in 4 weeks now. Something that is very, very important. In fact, it's probably more important than any time in our history, and that's the census. We're right in the middle of the census right now, and I cannot stress to you the importance. And I'm going to tell you, in case some of you say, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, I'm going to tell you some things today that I think will change your mind. But there was a survey done for Jackson County, and these were the likelihood of participation in the census. And we want these numbers to be much higher, or our numbers to be much higher than these. The survey said that 36% were extremely likely to fill out the census, 28% very likely, 28% somewhat, and 8% unlikely. We want those numbers to be false. We want our numbers to be much, much higher than that. Alabama could lose up to $13 billion, with a B, dollars in federal funding if we don't fill out the census. We could also lose one representative in Congress. And that's a very likely thing unless we surprise everyone with our numbers. Now, a lot of you may think that, why should I do it? And here's the number one reasons people don't fill out the census. Lazy. Now that I would never ever admit that I was too lazy to fill out the census. So that one should be thrown away. Afraid. They're afraid of different things. Some of our people are afraid of deportation, consequences being found. Some don't understand the importance. And again, I'm going to try to tell you the importance today. Some just don't care. They're apathetic. They're indifferent. I promise you, please listen to me and see why it is so important to fill out the census. And some think it takes too long. I promise you, you can do it between 5 and 10 minutes. And 10 minutes is on the high side. It does not take long. Now, that $13 billion in funding, here's what it goes for. This is why it's so important. It supports Medicaid. For those of you that are on Medicaid, you need to fill out the census because it supports Medicaid. It supports the supplemental nutrition program for our kids. We want to feed our children that are not able to feed themselves. It supports Head Start, helping our young kids in school. It supports Title I grants, Pell Grants. Some of the money goes to help people go to college. So very, very important. Section 8 housing. Some of that money goes to help people get into housing that they cannot afford on their own. Here's a biggie here that you're all the time hearing people complain about how bad our roads are. The money that we get as a result of the census goes for highway construction. If you're tired of potholes and everything, fill out the census and it can help address that issue. And then, of course, it goes to CDBG grants. That's Community Development Block Grants. And if you don't know what those are, talk to your mayors. Talk to the county commission because they apply for these CDBG grants for things that need to be done in the community. And a lot of that, again, goes to helping roads. So if you don't think those are important, I don't think your reason of not filling out is on the list. Please, please take care of the census. Another thing is it goes to help economic development. And this is another one. We're all the time having people call the chamber and say, why don't you have this restaurant? Or why don't you have this retail store? Why don't you recruit this? The census numbers help us go out and recruit retail. Because when they look at the numbers and they look at the numbers that we have in our community, the more we have, the better chance we have in economic development and going out and recruiting the kind of restaurants that people want. So it's very, very important that these numbers are as high as they possibly can be because it gives us the tools to be able to recruit the kind of restaurants that you want in your community, the kind of retail stores that you want in your community, and then the kind of roads we need to support the traffic to get to those places. So I cannot stress to you the importance of filling out the census. Very, very important. The last thing I want to cover today is I did something today that I do on a pretty regular basis is I gave blood. I went to blood assurance. I've been giving blood through blood assurance for many, many years. It's just very, very important. Every single person that donates blood, it saves 2 lives. But I went there today and I found out something that I didn't even think about. I asked them if the pandemic had affected their donors, the people that are donating blood, and they said drastically, because the number one place that they get donors to give blood are the high schools. High school students are very, very good at donating blood. They have contests between the 2 schools. Unfortunately, the high schools are out, so they cannot at all this entire last 4 or 6 weeks been able to go to the high schools to get blood. So they're at drastic levels, low levels. That's the reason they called me. They're calling people that give on a regular basis. So I encourage you, give blood. Contact Blood Assurance, and let's take up the slack of the ones that are not able to give right now. Even some of our industries are not able to give, and they give on a regular basis. So I encourage you to contact Blood Assurance, get on their list, go give blood. They're at the Highlands Medical Center today, were today, and we encourage you on a regular basis, give blood, because you'll save 2 lives for every person that donates. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for what y'all are doing. We're excited about opening this economy back up and getting us back to normal as best possible and try to save some of our small businesses. Stay safe.